course, we're all welcome to the latest Villas and Devotion. It's a special one tonight because it's transfer deadline day. I feel like Jim White, and someone's going to produce a dildo from behind my ear and sort of chase me around the outside of a ground with it. Here's hoping. We're joined by Tim. Tomi Caws is back after a hiatus. Liam Randall and Andy Morrell, who knows a thing or two about a transfer deadline day. Take us through it, Andy. What can actually happen? I know it's a bit different back when you were Wrexham because we just didn't have.
Cheers. Yeah. Yeah, it was slightly different. We couldn't have the pick of who we wanted to go and get. Top draw players, but what we did have is we had a lot of good players in the building, and so it was more keeping them than having them cherry picked away, if you like. So that was the most important thing, was making sure that the offers that were coming in, or if it did make anybody, it was just bluntly refused, because it was key that we kept our good players, and we were able to do that in the January one, especially. The summer one was a bit more difficult, but January's window is probably harder than the summer window anyway for moving players around.
Yeah, and what's like the anatomy of like a deal? Basically, are you like camped in the office on a day like this, or are you just out and about and someone gives you a ring? I mean, if they can't contact you, do deals go ahead without you knowing? Is that a thing?
No, normally you've got an inkling a few days before if something is going to happen. You've obviously got your targets that you want to try and bring in. And so you're already on the phone. Normally it is one transfer knocks a domino effect onto a couple of others, really. So you'll have your interest. You'll know that you'll be able to get them, but they'll be saying to you more than likely, everything's agreed, but we just need to get this guy in signed. And once that's done, we're happy for it to move. And then normally it's like a three-way, two-way little movement, if you like, for these players. And so it's pretty much done before deadline day. It all happens and falls into place on that day, most likely.
Yeah, and just one thing before we sort of go into the transfers we've made. A lot's been said of like the FAW and that sort of link. How is it like is it quite another difficult step to get it registered with them? Does it take time? I'm thinking more like the Armstrong deal and how that broke down the last transfer deadline day.
Yeah, we had it with Andy Bishop as well when I was there. It was getting international clearance and all that sort of thing. It just took so much time. That's why we didn't really have any deadline day moves, because it was all happening 2 days before with our club, because we had to get this international clearance, which took more time. And a TMS system I remember being talked about that was just a bit car crash for us, really, to get the right information into it and out quickly. And it was just like we were in a queue and waiting, and it was hard work. But yeah, I think being in the EFL now, I think that might have changed. Whether we are still with the Welsh FA, I think we might well have moved across to the English FA now, or under some sort of guidance. So it certainly helped. But you'd have to speak to Geraint, I suppose, more about that. But it was definitely an issue when I was in charge there.
Yeah, as long as we had enough fax paper. I love the fact that it all seems to be done via an antiquated bit of a kit that no one's really had for 20 years. But...
Yeah. It was all about signing it and then getting it back. And, these days you just take a picture of the blooming thing and get it, you can do it so much easier now. But it was fax, and you'd all huddled around waiting for this thing to come through so that you could sign it and just fax it back. Oh, my. Oh, technology.
I'm glad those days are over. Right, let's talk about today's business. Tim, 2 in, 2 out. In a word, are you happy?
Yeah. I can't. I was expecting maybe 3, and we might still have 3 at the time.
There's still lights on at the ground. Someone's just
there is still lights on. Obviously, we're after this.
Huddling around the fax.
Yeah, Lindsay from Rotherham is the name being bandied. They've obviously allowed a lad from Cardiff to go on loan there, so that domino effect they've just been speaking about might happen. But yeah, I think in terms of the players that come in, obviously Bolton brings the speed and dynamism which we've sorely lacked in probably recent months, not just weeks. So I think that's going to be a bonus. And Marriott, it's one of those. I think he'll come and push on. I think he's maybe treaded water a little bit at Fleetwood because his move to Oxford at the time didn't quite come off, and maybe his heart hasn't been in it since then. I don't know, but he looks like a pain in the ass to play against, and that's kind of what you want. So, yeah, I'm happy 9 times. I mean, we keep saying it, but Parky and the recruitment side of it, he rarely misses. He gets most of it right. So you kind of have to trust in that. And he's obviously got an idea where they're going to play and how they're going to play them. So happy with that. And in terms of the outgoings, Hosannah, a good player somewhere. It just didn't quite happen for us. It's one of those that it just didn't work out for him here. It happens, doesn't it? So good luck to him wherever he ends up. And happy for Jake Bickerstaff to go out and loan Accrington. Decent loan that. Because there was an argument, people saying, "I'll loan him out back to a National League club." Well, why? Yeah. I think he's a good player. He's probably the quickest amongst our strike force. He's probably the quickest there.
That's what we need, though, mate. Yeah.
But that's the fact, isn't it? And I hope he goes to Accrington, knocks plenty of goals in, because it gives Parky something to think about for sure. So whether there's a recall option, I don't know, but I think he'll do well.
Right. Before this, I gave everyone some homework. Liam, your homework was to look at Luke Bolton. Luke Bolton, a Manchester lad, started at City, born in Stockport, called Bolton, got from Salford. God, everything from the Greater Manchester area was wrapped up in this lad. What do you know about him?
What you wanted me to look into Luke Bolton?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been looking at Michael Bolton on Wikipedia. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No, okay. This is all my own research. I'm not just reading from an article that's on the club website. So he's a 24-year-old lad, very pacey, right wing back / right winger. I'll come on to that in a bit with some of the sort of feedback from the Salford fans. But he came up through Man City's academy, playing with the likes of Phil Foden, Jadon Sancho. First stint in senior football at Wycombe Wanderers. He's also had he was also played with Elliot Lee at Luton in 2019-20. This is really the inspiring reading that I'm doing here. Played up in Scotland with Dundee United.
I'm never giving you homework again, because you've absolutely capped the task here.
The good stuff is in.
Give me the good stuff.
The good stuff is in the feedback from Salford fans, basically.
Let's go straight to that.
So one said, "We'll live to regret Bolton leaving. I don't get the comments that he was useless."
What? Some comments that were useless?
Well, basically, there's a bit of a difference in between eras in terms of their managers. So the previous manager played. Well, this is where it gets interesting. The previous manager played him at wing back. Yeah. Apparently, his best spell has come for them under the new manager at right wing, which I'll leave you to speculate where he'll be.
Right, before we go on, how about this? Is he being brought? We all know that we need pace, and we need pace up front to stretch teams, especially away from home. Is he being brought in with, and I don't even know how I can say this, is he being brought in that Parky might change the formation? That what he did away at Wimbledon, more of a 3-4-3 with Bolton on the right-hand side of a front three to really test teams. Tommy, you're shaking your head there. Can you not see Phil Parkinson ever changing his starting formation?
I'm so happy to see Andy shaking his head as well, because it's not going to happen. No chance. He hasn't done it in 15 years, so he's not going to start now, is he? I personally think, and this is very harsh because I'm a big fan of him, but he's been a bit in and out, hasn't he, out with injury. I think he's a replacement for Barney on the right. I think he looks like a Barnett style player from what I've seen. I can't pretend to be an expert on him to the extent of Liam anyway.
Can you not just read his Wikipedia like Liam did?
No, I was just going to say on that.
He's got incredible eyebrows. That's one thing I picked up on. Unbelievably mannequin.
When I first saw a picture of him in our I thought someone had stuck his head over someone else. Like the way he was like contorting his body. I thought, is he wearing a Luke Bolton mask?
I usually the bits I like on Wikipedia, they're like the personal life section, and it usually says like his sister Sandra works in the Greggs in Charnock Richard Services or something like that. So I usually enjoy that bit. But I think I do think though, I don't. He's not going to change his formation. He may be looking with a view to perhaps in games where we shake it up a little bit if we're chasing the game, especially away from home. But no. I think he probably feels that. And I look at the side. If he plays James McLean on the left, which he pretty much does every time he's available, you need someone on the right who is going to absolutely get up and down and give you plenty of pace, because James McLean doesn't really give you a massive attacking threat from left wing back. So you need someone on the opposite side. When Fordy plays the same time as James McLean, where I think we're very, very, very easy to play against sometimes.
I
away
agree
from
with
home. So that I think he's just someone who gives you that little bit of oomph, so that if Barney's not there, he's there. Because I don't think we can have two players. I don't think we can play the likes of Ford and McLean together. So that's what I'm thinking.
Right. If I can come to you, Andy, have you ever heard of Luke Bolton? Is he a player on your radar at all? And if not, do you know anything about Jack Marriott?
No, is your answer to that. So
right,
no,
okay, succinct.
Yeah, I've been doing my research just before, so I've read he's 24. so
he had such hits as "If You Leave Me Like Now."
So I've gone with pure pace. He is. We've all spoken about this in the past about how we haven't got any pace in the team. And I think him potentially away from home in that he changes from defence to attack really quickly. And hence that is why they've brought him in, is because I think they're seeing a weakness in Wrexham away from home, or a problem where we can't, when we're sat in our shape, we can't break and hurt teams. They get back into their shape too quickly, and we haven't got that pace. So I think that's why he's brought them in. I love Barney and I like Ford as well. So it's just another body, isn't it, as well in there. I don't know if he could play other positions as well. Who knows? And he might chuck him on further up the pitch to do that, to stretch the game maybe away from home. I don't know.
He did that at Newport with Barney, actually. He
that's
swapped
right.
Barney up to try and sort of open them up a little bit. I sort of thought against Newport. Newport knew we didn't have any pace, and so stepped up maybe 10 yards and just squeezed us, and we just couldn't get out of the press, could we? Even before we went down to 10 men. So I do think maybe he is sort of thinking it's nice to bring someone with genuine pace into the club.
That's right. I think that's the whole reason why they've been brought in. And he's a good player. Listen, he's played a lot of games as well. So, and a good age at 24. He's still got a lot to learn. So, and Jack Marriott, I think he's had a bit of an up and down, hasn't he? Sort of career. He's scored goals at Peterborough, had a big season at Peterborough, got to move to Derby, done all right at Derby, and then sort of dropped off a little bit, and hasn't really gone to Fleetwood and ripped it up. And I think he'll be relishing the opportunity to come into somewhere like Wrexham and get amongst the 4 or 5 strikers we've already got, and start to cause carnage and score some goals. I think he's possibly will be able to give Mullin a little bit of a rest at times, because I think he's more reliable. When you're looking at your bench and you're looking at a Dolby and a Bickerstaff, I think you're not really certain that they're going to go on and nick a goal. Whereas if you turn around and see a Marriott and a Fletcher and a Palmer, you've got options, haven't you, there? So I'm sure that he's been brought in. He's really sharp in and around the box, really, really good around the box. So I'm sure he'll help and score some goals for us, and he'll be looking to get going straight away.
Andy, do you reckon both of those will start on Saturday? Do you reckon there'll be some sort of gentleman's agreement that prevents Bolton from playing against them? I can't see any reason why they would have that, because he's our player now.
Yeah, I don't think he'll play. I think it's just something that teams do, don't they? They can't be seen to be getting rid of this player and then have him come and score 2 against them on debut and stuff. So it's just like that is a gentleman's agreement. Whether Marriott or I think they'll both, maybe if there isn't that, they'll both go on the bench. I think he normally drips them in, doesn't he, bit by bit. So but they're great options to go to if needed.
Liam, do you got a bit more on our friend Michael Bolton?
Yes, I have indeed. I think I might redeem myself here. So,
well, the thing is, Andy Morrell's just knocked you into a cocked hat there because he's just come in and aced a little PowerPoint presentation on both of them, and he didn't even read from fucking Wikipedia.
To be fair, I think Andy dicking me on knowledge was probably a given, really. So,
I looked at fault of the place.
So yeah, this is from a Salford fan, and I think it probably gives better the context of where Bolton's played well and where he hasn't. So it says, somewhat frustrated that Luke Bolton has left us at this stage of the season, particularly with the arrival of Carl Robinson, which has seen him return from injury a much happier and rejuvenated player. Said before his absence, he frustrated the life out of me with his inability to beat an opposing defender and being unable to put in any sort of decent crosses. He clearly got the speed. It said his frustration was being played out of position by Neil Wood, with out of position basically being right wing back. He said he seemed to have disappeared until Robinson's arrival, who put him where he should be, out on the wing, and the change of attitude and commitment has been clear to see. So that leaves us with an interesting conundrum, I think. But you know,
right, is Liam redeemed?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I was happy with that.
Okay, all right, okay, right. I've got one about Marriott before we get into more general questions. So I asked a Derby fan who works with me about Jack Marriott. He says he gave every Derby fan below a certain age the best memory we have of following our club when he scored the winner away at Leeds in the playoff semi-final. I think that was Championship, wasn't it? So
yeah,
it's scoring goals at a good level. That after that, especially after Rumi came in, there was a lot of talk about his fitness not being up to scratch, which is why I think his career tailed off relatively young. He's a proper player off the shoulder, running behind people. That's the sort of striker he is. Certainly knows where the back of the net is. I think he really needs a system to work for his strengths for him to perform, though. But I'd be very surprised if he doesn't bag a few in League Two. That said, he did look a bit out of sorts when we played Fleetwood earlier this season. Then the question I ask is he quick? Right? That's what I wanted to know. Is he quick? He says he was at first at Derby, but didn't look nippy when I saw him earlier on. Right? I asked the same thing to my Sheffield United, Wednesday following mate. He said he was wank for us, but I wouldn't judge him on that, to be honest. He's been a good player for Derby and Peterborough. Was playing in a bad side behind closed doors for us, only half a season. But no, alas, he is not quick. Well, there you go. What do you think, Tim? He's a pest, isn't he?
I'm still laughing at the fact that you broke down your sentence into Klarna installments then when you went, he plays off the shoulder and runs behind people.
Can I just say
I fucking hope he runs behind people.
My mate Ethan wrote this, and Ethan is one of my reporters, and I was just reading this back thinking, fuck me, Ethan. Do you write this sort of stuff for us? Because it was badly structured.
He looks like a pest. He looks probably like a quicker, mobile, agile version of Palmer in that he looks like a shit bag to play against. But you know, I think he'll do all right. I agree with what Andy said. I think he's probably aware of the perception that he hasn't really pulled up trees for Fleetwood. So I'm going to show everybody that I can still do it, and I can still do it in the prime of my playing career, which he now is really. You know, he's now at that age. He's 29, so it's now or never really for him.
I think he'll really relish playing in a 2 up top, because people like him, who's not massive, huge, you know, he likes to play with somebody and have a relationship with somebody, and maybe whether that's with Mullin or one of the other ones, you know, playing off of Palmer or whatever. I think that might be in his thoughts that takes a bit of pressure off me being maybe a lone striker where he's been before. And he is really clever and really got a really good footballing brain. So I think it's not a bad little signing, really.
Andy, can I just ask you about the mindset of a striker coming into a new club? Now, I sort of point to the example of Gary Bennett, where everyone sort of thought, well, what we signed him for, he hasn't really pulled up many trees goals-wise at Chester, but he just came in and started well, and the confidence grew from that. Sometimes that happens, doesn't it? You can just come into a club, start off on the right foot, and things just happen for you.
Yeah. Well, I've signed for 4 clubs, and I think I scored on debut in 3 of them, and it just helps so much. Confidence, settled in, or everybody in the changing room's looking at you going, "Oh, he's all right. He must be okay if he scored." Do you know what I mean? So if he can come in and get an early one, especially, then I think everybody will be really, well, we all will be delighted and stuff, and hopefully he can add a lot more goals to this team. Because I think Mullins been last couple of games, he's been feeding off scraps, hasn't he? There's been nothing really for him being created, and so he's trying to create stuff himself, and he's trying even harder. And I think if just bringing in a couple of bodies really freshens up everybody's mindset, and like, right, we're going to go and go for this title.
Andy, isn't it nice just to take a player from Fleetwood, given the history? Isn't it nice?
Val's already tweeted about it, I think. So
it's nice, though, isn't it? You think back to the whole thing of that season, right, and fouls and all that. You're thinking, bastards. And it's kind of like it's a little full circle moment. I think it's quite nice.
It definitely is a full circle moment, because I can see Wrexham going one way, and Fleetwood have just started sort of hitting that cusp, if you like, and finding things a little bit more difficult than they did do previously.
It's sad, isn't it? Oh, Fleetwood not doing very well. Forest Green might go out the league. Crawley aren't really pulling up trees. Oh, Salford, they could even go down.
Don't speak too soon on Salford. Fucking hell.
I know. Yeah. Tommy, can I ask you a bit about Bryce Hosannah, a player we've seen quite a bit of? I just thought he had all the ingredients to be really good. I mean, he's pacey. He's got a good schooling in the game. He could play in a number of positions. What was it? Just injuries?
Yeah, 100% for me, mate. Injuries. I think it went to show as well. Speaking with someone earlier on about this, and every time he came back from an injury, Parky tried to get him in the side. So Parky really rated him. But I mean, he's a young lad, but injury-wise, that's what's done for him. I really rated him, but I'm a sucker for a pacey wing back / full back.
Does it remind you of a young Tomi Caws?
Well, very, very much so. Do you know what? Never mind a young one. I played on Sunday at 37. I was up and down like cat food, mate. But don't worry about that. I think Reece Hall-Johnson, another one I was a big fan of. So, he's very much in that mold. But I think he was a bit better than Reece Hall-Johnson, in fairness. But yeah, it's a shame. But I think this is the right thing for him, to go somewhere else. And I'm pretty sure, mate, I think someone will pick him up because, I don't imagine he was one of the big earners. I think he'll probably, get a National League side at the very least. And I wish him all the best because he's done a good job for us as well. When he did play, he did a really good job. So sorry to see him go, but best for everyone.
And he'll go down in history as the first player Rob and Ryan saw get sent off in the flesh.
Yeah, I was about to say who's going to get sent off next time Mullin elbows someone.
To be honest, my abiding memory of Bryce Hosannah isn't in a Wrexham shirt. It's when he was playing for Leeds youth team and he got absolutely battered by a meathead playing for Rill in a youth game. So yeah, have a look on YouTube of that one. That's worth watching.
Take that one out.
Right. Any more on the transfers? Shall we move on to Blackburn?
Liam's got news. Beep, 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 beep. Another Wrexham
news.
Update.
No, nothing sort of official, but basically.
Do I need to play the music?
No. Put the music away. But it's just basically as more things are going on. The latest suggestion is that Lindsay will not be signing due to the asking price on Rotherham's side. It's not definite. We've still got a couple of hours to go, but they're at a bit of an impasse and it doesn't sound like we want to pay what they're asking.
We've got enough in midfield, haven't we?
Yeah, we're not desperate there, are we? I don't
Yeah.
think. There's been talk about will Luke Young go or will he stay? I'd be more than happy if he stays. I mean, Lindsay would be levels above, but do we absolutely need it? I would suggest not.
I sometimes wonder whether we go for a target that is perhaps a little bit unrealistic, just to show people, listen, we're not having our pants pulled down. We're not paying silly money for anyone. I think sometimes there's a bit of kidology in the transfer window as well. So,
well, why don't we go for Ronaldo then?
What's that? Sorry.
Why don't we go for Ronaldo then?
But within reason.
You priced it up.
Which Ronaldo? R9? Is that what you mean?
No, Tony Ronaldo.
I'm just pleased for Bickerstaff as well. To be fair, I think he came into the team at a really difficult time early in the season and played a few blinders, like scored a few goals and was pretty much taking over from Mullin, wasn't he, when he was injured? I think the 2-year deal for him is a definite cert to get him out on loan, which they have done, and that's a brilliant loan for me. League Two, good team. He'll play loads more minutes, and his development will go straight up through the roof. So he either comes back and it's not worked out, he's not played much minutes, which he's not lost anything because that's what he's doing at the moment, or he comes back and he's scored 7-8 goals in the last half of the season, and he comes back itching to get going again next season. So I think that's a great move for everyone.
There's a round robin question for you, Andy, just on that subject. Who's going to score more goals out on loan for the rest of this season? Bickerstaff or Billy Waters?
Oh, that's a great question. I would have thought Billy Waters has just got a bit more experience about it, so I would go with him. But he's playing in a poor team, isn't he, at the moment? So I think he'll just play more minutes than Bickerstaff. So I would have said Waters.
One for Waters, Liam.
Yeah, same reasoning as Andy. I'm going to say Waters, but I really do actually hope that Bickerstaff does get the minutes because, people were talking about him going to National League level and things like that. But I think playing at League Two, he came into the team and getting a goal in, your first game in League Two is a pretty big deal. And it was a decent goal as well. So I think there is potential there, but I'll just say Waters for safety's sake.
2 for Billy. Caws?
Completely understand the two guys' rationale there, but I'm going to go for Bickerstaff. I think he's a much better footballer, and I fancy him as soon as he gets in that side. I think he's shown it with us. He scores goals, and once he gets in that side, gets a couple of goals, he'll be a permanent fixture. So I'll go Bickers.
I'm Bickers as well, so that's 2 each. Andy, you've got the deciding vote, and anybody else wants to comment on this video, let us know what you think as well. Andy, what are you going with?
I think if Bickerstaff plays and gets a goal early doors, I think it's going to be him. I think Accrington can be quite an attacking team and can play to his strengths. And I think there's a real good player there. I think hasn't Parky said he's the best finisher at the club? Go out and show it. Show us, Jake. Go do it, mate. Go do it. Andy, we're going to talk about Blackburn, but you're welcome to stay on if you'd like to, or if you want to go and get your tea.
I'll stick around for the Blackburn chat. Let's have a listen.
Okay, right. Blackburn chat. Didn't start very well. It didn't start or end very well, actually. There was a good 8 minutes in between it, but I got there about, it must have been about 40 minutes beforehand, and I was in the queue for 50 minutes. And the stewarding was lackluster, to say the least. Tim, what was your experience?
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it took me 3 hours to get there. It took me an hour and 5 minutes to get back on the same bus. So, it was bad. I mean, yeah, it was rainy, and you have the M6 to contend with. Could it have been pushed back? Should have been pushed back. The question should have been asked. I believe it wasn't asked.
EV was never going to get pushed back, mate.
Yeah, it was carnage outside, and you know what? For all of Wrexham's supposed fans' faults and being quite an impatient bunch, Christ, were we patient outside? Right, fan bases can be irate, especially when it's pissing down on a cold Monday night in Blackburn. That could have gone wrong very quickly, right? It could have, but everybody was like, "I just want to get in there now, so we'll play the game." And I think the stewards were told by the police, I believe, stop searching everybody now because we need to get people in because it's becoming a bit of a public health hazard outside, But then the knock-on effect for that was it was carnage inside. It was like, let's just grab the nearest seat that you could, because everybody was just filling in and getting on with it because you missed the build-up to it. You missed all that hype and the excitement. It's just in and the match started. So it wasn't anywhere near as enjoyable. I'm just glad I got in there for the goal, which a lot of people missed. So quite lucky in that respect. But let me give you a little story just to give you more of an insight as the sort of the shit show surrounding the whole crowd safety aspect and a few of the bits. So my mate Rob was in a sponsor's box as a Wrexham fan for that game. He's told me not to say which sponsor it is, just in case for any recriminations. So his message is, we started off in the box, all very nice and civilized, ordered some drinks, about to receive a 4-course meal. Blackburn staff come in. We understand you're supporting Wrexham tonight. Yes, I said. We need to move you for your own safety, they said. So Rob said, we won't be any bother, but okay, where are we going? And then they said to him, to a suite near the Wrexham fans, you can still have your meal. Oh, and instead of Alan Shearer doing a Q&A, you've got David Dunn. So that was an instant sort of downgrade. He said, the lamb shank was nice, Andy. You'll be pleased to know.
Hang on, Alan Shearer was at that game.
Alan Shearer was at that game, apparently. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but there we are. So he was proceeded. They were told that they were being moved again to a section in the away end because Rishi Sunak said today we'll be fined $500,000 if there's trouble. Don't worry, we'll escort you. I don't even, that doesn't make any sense to that. They didn't escort them. They were moved to the outside, queue for 20 minutes in the wrong turnstile. So Rob said, fuck this, let's try and get back into hospitality. They were let back in. They were allowed to stay if they behaved. They sat down. Wrexham scored. Few civilised cheers, but no limbs. And then they came back in and said, you have to leave and we're putting you in the away end. A load of set of tickets are issued. They get into the away end. The Wrexham fan next to us has a suspected heart attack and paramedics are called over. What a night. So, yeah. So thoughts with the suspected heart attack fella, first and foremost. But, yeah, it seems that on the whole, the general hospitality of Blackburn wasn't very good from the outside to the inside. So there we are.
Let's get onto the game. I thought we started well, Tommy. I thought we took it to them. We were breaking the lines. I thought a great goal from Cannon, and then the double save. If we'd have gone 2-0 up there, I think we really would have put doubts in their mind, really, wouldn't we?
Different game altogether, isn't it? You go 2-0 up, all of a sudden, both sides have a different mentality. 1-0, that 1-0 never changes a team's mentality that early. 2-0, all of a sudden, like I say, just reiterating, it's a different game. Yeah, it's what if, what could have been. But, we just showed, I just thought, up until half-time, there wasn't much difference between the two sides. We were really unlucky to go in 3-1 down. Just moments of naivety from us, especially Okonkwo, who's been outstanding all season.
I'm pleased about that. Well done.
Yeah.
Agent Arthur gets his price down live on the telly. Everyone in the championship says, oh, no, he's too much of a gamble. He ends up signing for us. Absolutely brilliant. Love that. Well done, Arthur.
Fantastic. Yeah, proper top red, Arthur. But no, he... I just thought, and Owen O'Connell had a really poor game as well. I'm a big fan of his. He had a really poor game. We looked a little bit shambolic at times, just all over the field. Well, not all over the field, at the back mainly. I think maybe big game, bright lights and all that. Maybe it just got to us a bit. But just wanted to say on that though, first time we've lost consecutive games in 90 games apparently, which is an unbelievable stat, isn't it? So it just makes. Yeah, Parky out. Yeah, of course. But yeah, it just means Saturday's game's a massive, massive game now, doesn't it? So, but yeah, just to reiterate, mate, I don't think we were awful, but we didn't really showcase ourselves in the best light. So yeah, a little bit disappointed overall.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Blackburn were really good. They just had those little passing moves that we couldn't really deal with. I mean, if you think it was chalk and cheese, what happened with Coventry let us into the game, basically. Our sort of up and at them attitude seemed to unsettle them. But, Blackburn just kept it kept doing what they were doing and eventually sort of played around us. Andy, were you there? What did you think?
Yeah, I did the radio, and I thought that they hung in there first 8 minutes or so, and then we got the goal. That saved pivotal moment in the game by their keeper. And I just thought, I was speaking to the radio guys for Lancs, and it's the first time they've had Dolan, Gallagher, and Smodic back in the team together, and they're the three real big hitters. And I thought they were brilliant on the night, those three. Dolan down the right hand side, and that's where all our problems occurred with O'Connell, the side of O'Connell. I thought we kept getting in down that side, and in Smodic, I thought, wow, what a player he is. By the way,
I never heard of him.
They've sold a player today for 18, for 18 million. They've sold Wharton to Palace today, and I'm like, how's somebody not picked up this guy? He scored 20 already this season. So I just thought that we were outclassed. Once that the third goal was the killer blow just before half time. I think if you get in at 2-1, you've got half a chance of rallying a little bit, but that just popped our balloon, if you like. But they hung in there. They had a bit of a go. Once the fourth goes in, it's game over. But I thought Blackburn were really good, and it just shows where we are now as a club. Is that I think last year when we went to Cov, it was like more in hope that we were going to get something, but we could, the possibility. But we'll go to Blackburn in a year's time going, well, we could do these. It's as simple as that. Do you know what I mean? And it was a 50-50 game in a lot of people's eyes. And that's testament to where Wrexham are at the moment.
Liam, it was your one away trip of the season. Did you throw your toys out of the pram because it didn't go your way?
No, I had a great day. Got there quite early, about 10 to 2, sauntered into Wetherspoons.
10 to 2? You had 5 hours in Blackburn?
No, in Darwen. We went the other side. We went to Darwen, the other side of Ewood Park. Sauntered into Wetherspoons. That was a nice experience. Free cheese board in the next place we went. A nice little craft beer place. Yep. Free cheese board.
Free cheese board.
Yeah. And imagine all the cheeses you could think of. Baby Bells, Dairy Lee, you name it. It was there.
You're wearing a cheese connoisseur's cardigan right now. If you've ever seen one.
There was a dartboard in the back. There were acoustic guitars. We had a jolly old time. And I said to my mate before the match, though, as we got in there, I said, as long as we get a goal and we get one of those sort of limbs moments, I don't really care too much what happens today. It's a bit of, I know expectations are high, but you put it in context, and you could see why Blackburn are a championship side. They might be sort of lower half, but the levels are still very different. I know we made a few mistakes. There was some dodgy passes at time. I thought Tozer misplaced the ball a couple of times, but I just think championship teams don't give you that time to be able to play your own game. We just didn't really have the opportunity. Things might have been different if that second goal had gone in. But at the same time, with some of the players they've got attacking wise, I just don't think they really gave us a chance. So I had a decent day despite what was ultimately a disappointing result. I thought Wrexham fans were in good voice, particularly the first half. It was really great noise to hear. I may be a bit ambitious, but I enjoyed myself despite it.
Well, you got your goal and you got Jan.
I was just going to ask Andy if how was the cheese board in the BBC sort of before the match, mate? Was that any good?
The steak pie was half decent, I have to say. That was all right. Yeah, nice and warm one as I got there. But I turned in late. I got there at 6. I'm normally earlier than that, but traffic. And there were queues outside then of Wrexham lads trying to get in and stuff. So I can't imagine what it was like standing out there for ages trying to get in. I think it's a bit of a disaster, I think.
You know what? Tim's right. We did keep our heads. There was a few moans and a few people had to go at the stewards and the cops, but largely we kept our head in the queue for Turnstile R. So, well done to everyone, really.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Should we look ahead towards Salford? Any other news before we do our predictions?
I think Rob McElhenney tweeted, I don't know if Liam mentioned that he's quite keen for Bickerstaff to come back as soon as possible, go and score some goals and come back ASAP, something like that he tweeted. I think Liam mentioned it before. So that's about the only other thing I can remember. I don't think it looks like we're going to be getting anybody else in tonight. We're looking at we're coming up to 9:45 now. So what we've got an hour and 45 left, I think.
Can we still do loans?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So.
Well, let's not rule that out. And if we do want that midfielder from Rotherham, we haven't managed to get it done. We could loan him with a view to buy at the end of the season. I think so. Yeah, the fax machine's working.
Have you not been doing your homework, Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Offering another point of view, Liam, without completely researching it. It's all about views. Right, let's look at Salford then. First off, who's going? I am. First time ever at Salford.
Yeah.
Liam, obviously, no, not you. Andy, you
not
going to be there?
Blackburn.
No, I'm not there. I'm playing with my eldest lad. I've put the boots back on.
Oh,
He's
wow.
50, not 35, 50. So at 49 anyway. So played my first game last week, and I'm still stiff.
Right. Okay, Tim, you're going. What do you think?
Salford have picked up. I don't think they've lost since the turn of the year. So, all right, granted, just a month, but they've definitely had an upturn in their results, and they've kept it a lot tighter than recent months. So I'm expecting it to be quite tight. I think there's that added spice that we've nicked one of their players, whether he starts or not. So a draw wouldn't be a massive disaster. I think we've after two very Newport annoyed me just because of the way it was. It just didn't get going in the slightest. So I think we need to get back to basics and just play with a little bit of freedom away from home. Just take the handbrake off a little bit. We've got to, because we've got so many away games this month. It's a big month, So a draw wouldn't be a bad thing, and I'm kind of inclined to think that that's where it might be. So I think I'm going to go for 2-2.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think a draw is not a bad result in the scheme of things. I do think that bringing two players in will brighten up the rest of the squad. It will just give everyone keep them on their toes a little bit. Sort of, how good is Marriott? Is he better than me? I better step up my game. So yeah, but I still think it will be a 1-1 draw. Tomi, what do you think?
I just hope that we impose our game on them. I think away from home, I've been so frustrated at the fact that you look at the quality all across the park that we've got, and yet we're going to places and playing, dropping deep. Our wing backs are staying at home, and sometimes I just want to see us impose our game on them. I know home and away, we like to keep it tight in the opening half an hour. I completely get that. Get to half an hour at 0-0, and then hopefully it's our game. But yeah, after that initial half an hour, I just want us to be a little bit braver, push the wing backs a little bit higher, and make them worry about us rather than the other way round. I'm going to say we're going to win the game. I think I don't see us losing again, even though we've been poor away from home. I think we're going to win 2-1. I think we'll go 2-0 up, and then they'll pull one back later on.
Liam?
I was going to say 1-1, but I hate agreeing with you, so I'll go 1-0 Wrexham.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. I'm glad I do that to you. Andy, can we have the score prediction on two matches? One Salford, Wrexham, and secondly, the one you're going to play.
Okay, so Salford Wrexham will be. It's a game that you don't lose. I think it's because of the two losses that we've had just before. It's not happened for a long time, as Tomi said. So don't lose it. I would take a draw now, like you say, just to get us back in some sort of mode. But hopefully, the two new signings will give us that bit of a boost. Matt Smith, tricky character to defend, especially Scotty's back in the goals as well for them. So they'll probably provide a lot of crosses in. So we've got to deal with that aerial threat from them. But I'll go a draw. I'll go 1-1. It's a bit boring, I know. My game at home to Alextown is going to be 8th versus 3rd, and we won on the weekend. And this will be a tough game because we've got some good players, but we'll nip it 3-1.
Great.
No problem.
Get the Malaysian betting syndicates on that one.
That's right.
Right, I think that's it. We'll get back to normal in the next couple of weeks. It's been a bit here, there, and everywhere with the FA Cup game and the transfer window, but we'll get more regular. It probably won't be one this weekend because Tim, you're not available, and I've got tickets to Arsenal Liverpool, so I'm going to be loading it up at the Premier League.
Will there be a cheese board there?
There might be. When I went last time, there were heated seats, and they were so nice that Amber fell asleep for the whole second half. So she's not coming again. She's not allowed.
I'll be returning with Book of Okonkwo next one because I've got to do Lionel Richie All Night Long, which was voted for. But I will return with a double whammy just to piss you off, Andy.
No,
so
you don't have to.
I do have to. It's all about the consumer. It's about the consumer, and they vote with their feet. So it's democracy.
Yeah, they will vote with their feet if you fucking sing twice.
No, the people have spoken. So I will be returning with that as a double.
All right. On that bombshell, let's end it for today. Thanks very much, Andy Morrell, our special guest, and the lads. Good to see you again, Tommy. Goodbye from me.
Take it easy. Thank you very much. Up the town.
Thank you.
The cheesy reds.